Picture an animal, any animal, a lion, a great white shark, a saltwater crocodile. Now ask yourself honestly, which creature on this planet has killed more species, reshaped more ecosystems, and altered the atmosphere itself? The answer is not the one with the biggest teeth. It never was. There was a moment in history when something shifted, when one species crossed a line that no other creature had ever crossed, when humans stopped being prey and became something the rest of the living world had never encountered before. Something it had no defense against, no instinct for, no evolutionary preparation for at all. That moment is closer than you think, and what triggered it will surprise you. For most of human prehistory, you were not at the top of the food chain. Let that sit for a second. Your earliest ancestors, the hominins walking across the African savanna 2 million years ago, were middle-of-the-chain scavengers. Paleoanthropologist Robert Foley has documented this extensively. Your ancestors ate what bigger predators left behind. They cracked open bones for marrow after lions had eaten everything else. They watched the sky for circling vultures, because vultures meant something had already been killed, and that meant food. Your brain was already large by primate standards. Your hands were already dexterous. But that did not make you dangerous. Lots of animals have large brains. Lots of animals have nimble fingers. What made humans terrifying was something else entirely, and it took a long time to emerge. For nearly 2 million years, humans used the same stone tools. Think about that. The same basic hand axe design, unchanged for almost 2 million years. Anthropologist Thomas Wynne has studied this technological stasis in detail. It tells you something important. Early humans were intelligent. They could plan. They could coordinate. But they were not yet capable of the kind of cumulative cultural innovation that would eventually make them unstoppable. Something was missing. Around 300,000 years ago, things begin to shift. Not overnight, not with a single dramatic event, but the fossil record and archaeological sites from this period, studied extensively by researchers like Richard Wrangham at Harvard, show something new starting to appear. Controlled fire is becoming more consistent. Shelters are becoming more deliberate. And most tellingly, the animals around human campsites begin to change. Megafauna, the giant animals that had dominated continents for millions of years, start disappearing wherever humans show up. This is the pattern that scientists call the overkill hypothesis, first proposed by paleontologist Paul Martin in the 1960s and refined over decades of research since. The evidence is stark. Before humans arrived in Australia roughly 65,000 years ago, that continent was home to enormous creatures. Diprotodons the size of rhinoceroses, giant kangaroos 3 meters tall, a monitor lizard that reached 7 meters in length. Within a few thousand years of human arrival, 23 of the 24 genera of large Australian mammals were gone. Not reduced, not stressed, gone. The same pattern plays out in the Americas. Humans arrive around 15,000 years ago. Within a geological instant, a few thousand years, 35 genera of large mammals vanish. Mammoths, mastodons, giant ground sloths, American horses, short-faced bears, saber-toothed cats. An entire world of megafauna, erased. Here is what makes this extraordinary. These animals had survived ice ages. They had survived volcanic winters. They had survived every environmental upheaval the planet had thrown at them for millions of years. What they could not survive was you. Why? What was it about humans that made them so uniquely lethal? The first answer is cognitive. Your brain developed what evolutionary biologists call theory of mind, the ability to model what another creature is thinking, predict its behavior, and plan accordingly. You could anticipate where an animal would run. You could set a trap it would not see coming. You could coordinate with other hunters to drive prey toward a cliff or into water. No other predator on Earth was doing this at scale. The second answer is technological compounding. Unlike every other animal whose weapons are built into its body, claws, venom, speed, your weapons exist outside your body and can be improved. A spear can be made sharper. An arrow can be made lighter. A trap can be made more sophisticated. And crucially, these improvements accumulate. Each generation builds on what the last one figured out. Evolutionary biologist Joseph Henrich calls this cumulative culture, and he argues it is the single most powerful force in human history. No other species on Earth has it at anything close to human scale. The third answer is social coordination beyond kinship. Most animals cooperate with close relatives. Animals who share their genes. You cooperate with strangers. You form alliances with people you have never met based on shared symbols, shared stories, shared beliefs. An ancient hunting party was not just 4 brothers. It could be 40 people from 3 different bands, coordinating through language, following agreed plans, covering more ground than any single predator had ever covered in the history of life on this planet. Put those 3 things together, theory of mind, compounding technology, and large-scale social coordination, and you have something the natural world had never seen before. You have a predator with no ceiling, no biological limit on how effective it could become. Every other predator operates at roughly the same level of lethality as its ancestors. You operate at a level that grows every generation. But here is the counterintuitive part. The animals that went extinct were not killed because humans were vicious or bloodthirsty. They were killed because humans were efficient, because they coordinated well and planned ahead and improved their tools. The megafauna did not die because of cruelty. They died because they had no evolutionary response to an intelligence that could model their behavior, exploit their patterns, and outplan them completely. Biologist E.O. Wilson once described humans as a geophysical force, not just a biological one, but a force that operates at the scale of geology and atmosphere. That is not metaphor. That is a description of what the evidence shows. The moment humans developed cumulative culture and social coordination at scale, they did not just join the ecosystem, they began to direct it. There is something almost vertiginous about sitting with that. The creature that spent 2 million years cracking bones at the edge of a lion's kill became, in evolutionary terms, nearly overnight, the most consequential life form that has ever walked this planet. And the change did not come from growing bigger. It did not come from growing faster. It came from growing more connected to one another, from getting better at sharing knowledge across time and space, from building mental models of the world that were complex enough to anticipate outcomes before they happened. You carry all of that with you. The same capacity for theory of mind that let your ancestors predict where a mammoth would move is what lets you read someone's face across a crowded room and know exactly what they are feeling. The same instinct for social coordination that assembled hunting parties across ancient grasslands is what pulls you toward groups, toward community, toward belonging. The same drive to improve on what the last generation built is why you are watching this video on a screen your grandparents could not have imagined. The moment humans became the scariest thing on Earth was not the moment we picked up a weapon. It was the moment we started teaching each other how to use it and could not stop getting better. Tonight, if you look around you at the built world, at the food on your table and the light overhead and the city outside your window, you are looking at the compounding result of that moment. The animals that vanished from the Australian plains 65,000 years ago are gone. And what replaced them, in the deepest possible sense, is everything you can see.